For my graduation, they left a half-eaten pizza on the counter and sent a cold text. I stared at it, the half-eaten slice, the silence, the nothing. No hugs. No cheers. Just crumbs, and a reminder I was never really part of them. I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I just packed my last box. And this time, when I left, I took everything they never knew I gave. It still stings when I think about it. The smell of old cheese. The plastic wrapper half peeled back. No card. No balloons. Just a sad, cold reminder that my graduation didn't matter, not to them. They threw a party for his diploma. Lights, laughter, champagne. And for me? A cold slice on a counter, like an afterthought. I wanted to scream. I wanted to ask why. But deep down, I already knew. I was the quiet one. The one they leaned on, but never celebrated. That night, standing there alone, I made a decision. Not to fight. Not to explain. Just to leave and take back everything they thought they owned. I guess I should have known better. From the very beginning, there were signs. Little things, barely noticeable if you weren't paying attention. Like the way my mother-in-law always introduced me at family gatherings. This is Anna. She's studying something academic. Not even bothering to remember my major. Or how my father-in-law would talk about Lucas, my brother-in-law, like he was some kind of prodigy, even though he barely scraped by. Meanwhile, when I got a scholarship, no one even said congratulations. At first, I brushed it off. Told myself they didn't mean anything by it. That maybe it was just their way. Different families, different dynamics. I smiled through awkward dinners, cleaned up after barbecues no one thanked me for, bought gifts for birthdays they forgot to reciprocate. I tried. God, I tried so hard. When I married into their family, I thought it would change. That maybe once I was officially one of them, it would feel different. It didn't. If anything, the distance grew wider. Like there was an invisible line I wasn't allowed to cross, no matter how many holidays I showed up for, no matter how much I helped behind the scenes. Then came the graduations. Lucas was a year younger than me, taking the long way through community college. When he finally got his associate's degree, it was like the whole world stopped to celebrate. They rented a tent for the backyard, ordered catering, set up fairy lights across the trees. My mother-in-law even ordered custom cupcakes with tiny fondant diplomas on top. They posted about it all over Facebook. Photos of Lucas holding his diploma, Lucas laughing with cousins, Lucas giving a drunken speech about family first. Meanwhile, I was in my bedroom, packing up my dorm belongings, scrolling through their photos, wondering why my own milestone felt like background noise to them. No one ever asked about my finals. No one helped me move back. No one even asked if I had plans after graduation. And the thing is, I wasn't expecting a parade. I didn't need a marching band or a fireworks display. Just something, a card, a hug, someone looking me in the eye and saying, "We're proud of you." Instead, I came home to that half-eaten pizza, like an afterthought. Like I wasn't even worth finishing the meal for. I remember standing there, the smell of charcoal still clinging to the cushions from Lucas's party a week earlier. I could almost hear the echoes of their laughter. And there I was alone, holding a plastic-wrapped pizza like it was a participation trophy for a race no one watched me run. Maybe if I had said something earlier, it would have been different. Maybe if I had demanded space, demanded recognition, I wouldn't have felt so disposable. But that wasn't how I was raised. I learned early that making noise just made people uncomfortable. Better to be low maintenance. Better to take care of things quietly, to keep the peace. And so I did. I kept the bills paid, the errands done, the small problems fixed before they became big ones. No one asked how. No one noticed when the water bill got paid late in January and magically caught up by February. No one questioned how the Wi-Fi stayed on even when the cable account was overdue. I made myself invisible, thinking it was love. Thinking that if I gave enough, they would eventually see me. But love without acknowledgement? It starts to rot. Like a half-eaten pizza left sitting out too long. Cold. Forgotten. Mold growing in places no one bothers to look. That night, staring at that pizza, I realized something. Maybe they didn't forget. Maybe they just didn't care enough to remember. And maybe, just maybe, it was time I stopped pretending that invisibility was the same thing as being loved. A week after Lucas's backyard celebration, they threw another gathering. Not for me. For Uncle Tom's retirement. Another round of fairy lights. Another buffet table. Another excuse to celebrate everyone except the girl who had quietly put herself through 4 years of college. I stood at the kitchen counter, watching through the window as they laughed and toasted outside. No one had even asked if I wanted to join. They didn't see me. Or maybe they did, and simply didn't care. My husband, Mark, was there too. Sitting on a folding chair, beer in hand, laughing at a story he'd already heard 3 times before. I waited for him to glance at the window, to catch my eye, to remember that today, the university had posted the official list of graduates. That my name was there. That I had done it. I waited. He never looked. The next morning, a group chat notification popped up. The family thread. A photo of Uncle Tom grinning with his cake. A meme about retirement. And buried between the chatter, a single line from Mark's mom. Congrats, Anna. We knew you would make it. No call. No card. No dinner. Just a lazy text tossed into the void, like dropping a penny into a well and walking away before the splash. That was it. That was the celebration. A half-eaten pizza. A half-hearted text. Half the effort it would have taken to make me feel seen. I sat on the edge of the couch, staring at my phone, feeling a weird, hollow ache in my chest. It wasn't sadness exactly. It wasn't even anger yet. It was absence. Like something inside me had packed its bags without telling me. And still, a part of me made excuses. Maybe they were busy. Maybe they thought I didn't want to fuss. Maybe it wasn't personal. But deep down I knew. I had known for a long time. Their love came with conditions: perform well enough, smile often enough, stay small enough, and maybe, just maybe, you'd get a crumb. A crumb shaped like a pizza slice. A crumb shaped like a congratulatory emoji. Later that week, Mark came home late. I asked him, point blank, if he'd even remembered I graduated. He gave me a lopsided smile, kissed my forehead, and said, "You're not really the celebrating type, babe. You wouldn't have liked a big fuss anyway." I laughed. Not out loud. Not in a funny way. The kind of laugh you feel rip the bottom out of your stomach. That night, lying awake next to a man who didn't see me, in a house where my wins went unnoticed, something hardened inside me. A decision starting to form. A quiet rebellion. A pulling away. I had spent years making myself smaller to fit their version of love. Maybe it was time I stopped shrinking. A few days later, I was cleaning up the kitchen when I noticed a stack of unopened mail on the counter. Bills. Notices. Final warnings. Most of them addressed to Mark's parents. Nothing new. They always let things pile up until someone else handled it. Out of habit, I started sorting through them. Electric bill, overdue. Internet service, past due. Water bill, pending disconnection. My stomach twisted. The dates lined up a little too neatly with the timeline of my final exams, when I hadn't been home much to notice. At first, I thought maybe it was just bad timing. Then I opened the family bank app on my phone. I still had access. They never bothered changing the password after I helped them set it up years ago. What I saw made my hands go cold. Recurring charges. Bills I'd been quietly paying off for months, maybe longer. My name wasn't on the accounts. My name wasn't anywhere. But the money came from my personal checking, set to auto-pay without anyone ever mentioning it. Netflix. Spotify family plan. Cloud storage. The water bill. Even the family phone plan. All tied back to me. I sat down at the kitchen table, the weight of it pressing hard against my chest. Not because they needed help, but because they had needed it for so long and never once said thank you. Never even asked. They just expected it. Like my support was as automatic as a light switch. Flip it on, assume it would stay lit. I stared at my hands, resting on the cool wood of the table. The same hands that had written essays, held textbooks late into the night, typed job applications. The same hands that kept their world running while mine went unnoticed. And right then, for the first time in a long time, I stopped feeling guilty. I stopped wondering if it was my fault. And I started thinking about what would happen if I turned the switch off. I didn't react right away. Didn't storm into the living room waving bills in the air. Didn't demand explanations. I just sat there for a long time, breathing, letting the weight of it settle into my bones. Then, quietly, I pulled out my laptop. I opened a new document and typed a single title at the top. Everything they never thanked me for. I started listing every charge I recognized. Every bill. Every subscription. Every late notice I'd bailed them out of. Page after page. Line after line. By the time I finished, the list was 3 pages long. I closed the laptop, feeling strangely calm. No anger. No heartbreak. Just a clear, ringing certainty. They didn't deserve me. Not my money. Not my time. Not my silence. That night, while Mark slept beside me, snoring softly, I went into every account I could think of. Phone plans. Utilities. Streaming services. Each one under my control. Each one tethered to me without thanks, without acknowledgement. I set reminders for cancellations. 3 days. Just enough time to watch them spin when things started shutting down. The next morning, I packed a bag. Only the essentials. Laptop. Degree. Savings. The things I had earned. The things they hadn't touched. I didn't tell anyone I was leaving. No announcements. No drama. Just a quiet slipping away. I booked a small hotel 30 minutes outside the city. Nothing fancy. Just a room with a door that locked and no one who needed anything from me. The silence was jarring at first. No buzzing group chats. No passive-aggressive jokes floated across dinner tables. No sideways glances hinting I was too much or too sensitive. Just quiet. And in that quiet, I heard myself again. The version of me that had been drowning under the weight of other people's expectations. On the second day, the messages started. At first, it was simple. A few missed calls. A "Hey, where are you?" from Mark. A "Mom's asking if you're coming to dinner" from Lucas. I didn't reply. Then came the confusion. Mark's mom texting, "The Wi-Fi isn't working. Did you forget to pay?" Dad-in-law asking if I knew why the family Netflix account got suspended. Mark himself leaving a voicemail about his phone plan acting weird. I listened. And for the first time, I didn't feel panic. I didn't feel responsible. I felt free. On the third day, I sat on the hotel bed, laptop open, watching as the final cancellations processed. Phone plan deactivated. Internet disconnected. Streaming accounts terminated. Each click felt like pulling out another root they had buried inside me. One by one, I untangled myself from the life they had built on my silent support. Around noon, Mark finally called from someone else's number. His voice was tight, annoyed, demanding. "Why are you being so petty?" he snapped. "You're punishing everyone for no reason." No reason. The words sat heavy in the room, thicker than the summer heat. I almost laughed. Almost. Instead, I said, "I'm not punishing anyone. I'm just done paying for a family that never even noticed I was part of it." Then I hung up. Simple. Final. That night, I slept without setting an alarm. Without bracing myself for the next obligation. Without feeling guilty for choosing myself. And for the first time in years, my dreams didn't smell like burnt burgers and broken promises. They smelled like clean sheets and open windows and something even sweeter, peace. It didn't take long for the chaos to catch up. By the fourth day, my phone lit up with message after message. Not just Mark anymore. His parents. His sister. Even a few distant cousins I barely spoke to. The family group chat was a mess. Messages stacking on top of each other like a collapsing house of cards. First confusion. Then frustration. Then outright panic. Why is the internet still down? Can someone fix the phone lines? Why was the water shut off? Blame flew like confetti. Everyone pointing fingers at everyone else. No one daring to ask the real question out loud. What if Anna was the one holding everything together? I watched the screen flash and buzz, sitting in the quiet of my hotel room. Each vibration felt like a tiny piece of old guilt falling off my shoulders. I didn't reply. I didn't explain. I didn't owe them that. By the evening, Mark showed up. At the hotel. I don't know how he found me. Probably through some emergency contact left buried in a forgotten form. He stood in the hallway, breathing hard, face red with frustration. I opened the door halfway, just enough to see him, but not enough to invite him in. "You made your point," he said, voice low. "Come home. Let's fix this." I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. Calm. Still. "Fix what exactly?" I asked. He opened his mouth, closed it again. Searched for words he didn't have. "This is childish," he said finally. "You're hurting everyone." I tilted my head slightly. Measured my next words like stepping stones across a river I had no intention of crossing back. "I'm not hurting anyone," I said. "I just stopped patching the cracks you all pretended didn't exist." He flinched like I'd slapped him. Good. Let him feel it. For once. Behind him, I could see his phone screen lighting up with notifications. Another bill unpaid. Another service terminated. Another reality they could no longer outsource to me. "You can't just walk away," he said, voice rising. I smiled, small and sad. "I didn't walk away," I said. "I just stopped showing up where I wasn't wanted." For a long second, we stood there. Husband and wife. Strangers stitched together by years of silent expectation. Then I closed the door. Softly. Finally. I leaned my forehead against the wood, breathing deep. On the other side, I heard him swear under his breath. Then footsteps retreating down the hallway. I didn't cry. I didn't second guess. I just stood there, letting the final ties fray and snap. No more paying. No more patching. No more pretending. They built their world without me. Now they could learn how to live in it without my hands holding the seams together. That night, the stars looked clearer through the window than I remembered them ever being back home. Or maybe they had always been that bright. And I just hadn't had the freedom to see them. Until now. After that night, everything got quiet. Not peaceful quiet. Not yet. The kind of quiet that comes after a door slams and the echo still rings in the air. Mark didn't come back. At least, not to the hotel. I figured he was too busy scrambling to fix the life he never realized I had been holding up. For a few days, I still checked my phone out of habit. Old instincts die hard. But after a while, the buzzing stopped. The notifications faded. The endless demands drained away. And in that empty space, something new took root. I spent my mornings walking unfamiliar streets. Small town sidewalks cracked by tree roots, the smell of fresh coffee wafting from mom-and-pop shops. No schedule. No expectations. Just me. I applied for a new job at a tutoring center nearby. Nothing fancy. Just enough to pay rent, buy groceries, build something slow and solid. The interview was short. The offer immediate. It felt strange, being wanted. Not tolerated. Not used. Wanted. I found a small apartment above a bookstore. 1 bedroom. 1 leaky faucet. 1 crooked window that caught the morning sun just right. It was perfect. The first night I slept there, I lay on the floor because I didn't have furniture yet. Just a sleeping bag and a second-hand lamp. But for the first time in years, the silence around me didn't feel heavy. It felt clean. Hopeful. I wasn't anyone's afterthought anymore. I wasn't the one keeping the machine running in the background. I was just me. Messy. Incomplete. Enough. Back at the old house, I heard through a mutual friend that things had gotten rough. Bills stacking up. Internet still down. Family fights spilling into group chats. A part of me, the old part, felt a tug of guilt. But it didn't last long. They had made their choices. So had I. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't bitter. I was free. And freedom, it turned out, didn't look like fireworks or loud declarations. It looked like quiet mornings with cheap coffee. It looked like a key that only unlocked my door. It looked like waking up every day and knowing I didn't owe anyone an apology just for existing. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't Instagram worthy. But it was mine. And for the first time in a long, long time, that was enough. A few months passed. Enough time for the seasons to shift. Enough time for me to start forgetting the exact sound of their disappointment. I built small routines. Mornings at the coffee shop. Evenings organizing the little apartment. Weekends spent exploring side streets with no destination in mind. Life didn't explode into something miraculous. It unfolded, one quiet page at a time. Then, on an ordinary Thursday, a letter showed up. No return address. Just my name, written in a hand I hadn't seen in a while. Inside, a single sheet of paper. Lucas's handwriting. Short. Messy. Sincere. I didn't get it before. I thought you were being dramatic. Now I see it. Now I feel it. We never celebrated you the way we should have. I'm sorry. I'm really, really sorry. Taped to the bottom was an old photo. One I hadn't seen in years. Me and Lucas as kids, sitting on a cracked front porch, grinning with melted popsicles in our hands. I held the letter for a long time. I didn't cry. I didn't rush to call him. I didn't race back to patch things up. Instead, I placed the photo on the windowsill. Let the afternoon sun warm it. Let the memory breathe on its own terms. Some apologies come too late to rebuild what was lost. But they still matter. They still close a chapter. Lucas's words weren't enough to pull me back. But they were enough to remind me. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't dramatic. I wasn't imagining the cracks in the foundation. I had seen them clearly all along. And this time, I trusted myself enough to walk away. Without needing anyone else to validate why.